When she spoon and like a BB moment, which is like a beautiful black moment. Did we get any of those in this episode?
Black.
We have a chaotic vibe moment of the
Chaotic vibe moment. And you're watching Black by Reality.
Black by Baddies.
And those who love us.
Hello, you are watching and are listening to the Black by Reality podcast, a place for Black by Baddies, those who love us. I am your host, Nicole Weaver, and we are continuing our recaps of Survivor. We are talking about episode 4. I think it's Blood in Your Hair, and I am here with Katurah Tops. Hi.
Hi, Nicole, and happy birthday!
Thank you. What have you thought about this Survivor season now that we're here on 47?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little biased. Obviously, I was like, okay, is anything really topping 45? And I liked 46, but it didn't feel like it like overwhelmed me in topping 45. 47 is giving. I feel like it is. I am getting the drama. I'm connecting to the characters. The editing is good. Like, I feel like there's twists and turns. There's things I didn't see coming. I'm emotionally invested, and I don't know if that's just because Asia was on this one to start off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think with Asia, with John, like all of those things kind of had us a little bit more invested emotionally before the season even started. And it hasn't disappointed. I'm loving it.
I'm loving it too. This is really fun. I will also always bring up during this pre-merge them losing, every tribe losing at least once.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
I have never realized how big of a difference that makes.
It does, because then we get to look into each tribe. And I feel like, honestly, that might be one of the biggest differences here. I feel like I know the dynamics and the relationships and the characters on every single tribe, and not any more than the other. And that's very rare, I feel like. Usually you have a tribe or two that's kind of consistently winning, and then you got the losing tribe, and so all the attention is on them, you know what I mean? And the other two, you're like, okay, I see bits and pieces, but what's their dynamic really? Here, I love that. I feel like I can point to every single tribe, and I know what's going on.
Now, Lavo, we just experienced, I'm not taking away, I know, I'm not taking away her picture. I'm going to bring her back as long as I can.
Oh, it's sad to even see the picture.
I know, but Asia just left. Yeah. So these people are like, what now? We have to talk this out. Everything's happening in the dark as usual. I will eventually stop talking about Teeny's eyes.
You know what?
But when they were in the dark, and everyone does this, they just have their eyes even wider, trying to see something, even though it's pitch dark. Yeah. Teeny's eyes are already huge for their head. And just them with the big eyes. I know they can't see each other, but if Teeny looked at me and was like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't vote out Asia. I had to write your name down, which they do to Saul. I was like, Teeny's gonna go far.
Here's the thing about Teeny. Not only are they able to just do stuff that I think a lot of us couldn't do in Survivor and get away with it, like Rome telling Teeny, here's where I find my idol, and then Teeny immediately telling Keyshawn, and Rome never getting mad at Teeny about it.
I know.
Or in this case, as you just said, with Teeny telling Saul, I had to write your name down. And by the end of the conversation, Saul is consoling Teeny.
Crazy.
Saul is like, it's okay, you know, I get it. And here's the thing. So I've met Teeny here in New York.
Of course
Pride. Yeah, we hung out on Pride, and I was like, oh my God, this person can literally freaking win Survivor just by their energy, like their kindness, their sweetness. Like sometimes they'll look at you and I'm like, what? Like staring into their eyes, and I'm
gotta
like,
go.
Gotta go.
Immediately. I was just like, wow, even this whole episode when it comes to Teeny, I'm like, Teeny is so dangerous. You know what? The next time, Katurah, you go back for Survivor 50, I'm speaking it into existence.
Speak on it.
We're gonna rename you. We gotta rename you to
Why?
something that's so, because I think Teeny, literally going by Teeny, is also just part of it.
Well, yeah, exactly. I agree.
You're gonna get mad at Teeny. You're gonna yell at Teeny.
At Teeny, I agree. And I think also like Teeny has this like lovableness that you don't see coming. I still can't really put my finger on it and like be like exactly what it is, but I look at Teeny both as a Survivor player and as just a regular person. And immediately I'm like, let's go to the end together. Like that's the vibe. It's like, I don't even get dangerous. It's like we can objectively understand that someone with this ability to connect to others socially is dangerous. But you almost bypass it to say, but come on, best friend, like come with me to the end. You know what I mean? Like I'll never write your name down and you'll never write mine. Now who knows if that's to be true or not, but I really thought it was endearing that Teeny was like really affected and couldn't write Asia's name down. And that meant a lot to me. I like that.
Oh yeah, like I wrote, even if it's genuine, just saying like, oh my god, that vote out is gonna haunt me. I don't know if I'm the right person for this game. That's who you want to keep around. I was like, Teeny is literally saying everything you want.
Everything. I'm over here taking notes.
And again, I think Teeny was being real genuine, because even Saul was like, yeah, these other people. And Teeny's like, no, I'm talking about myself.
Yeah. I will say I also really liked that Teeny, and this is a little bit of my own bias, Nicole, anytime you have us past players, we're gonna feel something in reference to our season. But watching Rome just kind of be super gross to Saul and like harsh and following him around and like, oh, it's Survivor, we can do whatever we want. Like, yes, it's Survivor and you can, but there's a way to talk to people and treat people that I just think is, people just underestimate how big of a deal that is and how valuable that is. And so to know that Teeny is with Rome and Genevieve, like that is their alliance, excuse me. But to be able to be like, but Saul, that's not okay. Like, I'm sorry that, you were talked to this way. Like, I'm sorry that, this person is, it's like, I think those moments are so critical because in Survivor, you're all alone. And especially if you're actually alone, like a Saul right now, where you have no allies, you have nobody on your team. And then someone from the main alliance is just extending kindness. He's literally not saying, let me overthrow my alliance. And like, Saul, let's run away in the distance together. They're literally just saying, I'm sorry that you got treated that way. That sucks. That's not cool. And I don't vibe with that. And I'm like, yes, I agree with that.
But I don't know. If I was Saul, I would not be able to accept it. I'll be like, you still chose this person, and this person's gonna be your shield. Rome is such a good shield. Genevieve notices that. Everyone's like, he rubs everyone the wrong way, but as long as he's not rubbing me the wrong way and I can use him towards someone else, why would I vote him out?
Honestly, not to jump around too much, but like a part of me, as an Asia warrior, was happy when Genevieve jumped on board with Keyshawn and them and was like, you're going to get out Rome. But as a Survivor player, I was like, that's a bad decision on Genevieve's part, because getting out Rome is literally the worst thing that Genevieve could do for Genevieve's game specifically, because Rome is annoying. Rome is obnoxious. Rome is a lot. He's going to ruffle feathers. He's going to piss people off. And then what's going to happen? He's standing in front of Genevieve. So he'll get knocked off before her. And she's got this person who she knows is extremely loyal to her and trustworthy to her. So I was like, why would Genevieve go with Teeny and Keyshawn and get out Rome? Like it didn't really make sense to me at all. Like, luckily she came to her senses at the end, I guess luckily and unluckily. Because I kind of wanted her to not realize that until Rome was gone. Because imagine if Rome leaves. Teeny and Keyshawn are closer to each other than they are to Genevieve. And they like Saul. I think like Saul is a good, kind-hearted person. That's gonna put Genevieve on the outs. But that was just my thoughts.
No, it's so true. I think it was just a human moment. There's so many like good humans on Lavo, and they are shook by what Rome is doing. They are shook. They could not believe it. Saul keeps going, what's going on? But basically the talk after is that Rome already has the plan while these Teeny and Saul are talking. He talks to Genevieve and Kishon and is like, look, Saul's the next one going, done deal. The next day, everyone's looking for an idol because Rome just used one. And Saul, apparently, there's rules to this, Katurah. If you're on the bottom of the tribe, you don't get to go look. Everyone else can go look.
I almost jumped to that screen and like, are you kidding me with this? I'm on the bottom, and it's just I related to Saul so much in that moment because that was literally me, like completely excluded, completely on the bottom, completely knowing if we go to tribal, my name is gonna be up. Mm-hmm. And then these mother suckers want to say, "Don't look for an idol."
Yep.
You want to get mad at me for doing something that's going to save me when I'm the only person in this game who really genuinely needs saving right now. So I was so glad that Saul didn't like back down and that he still kept looking, although giving Rome props because his little strong arming, although like that's not the energy I would personally take, and I don't like people being sort of having that energy with others. I do think it was a good idea to at least try to do something, if you're Rome, to make sure that Saul doesn't look for an idol because, you know, even the suspicion that Saul has an idol throws the entire plan up in the air. And so then now you have to say, which of my alliance members do I want to use as the decoy vote or the backup vote? And then you're getting a whole other mess there. So I understood Rome's efforts. I just didn't like the way he did it. And I'm so glad Saul didn't fall for that BS.
Yeah, it was so bad. It was like Rome was pushing Saul to the very edge. I just said he's a calm, gentle giant. Is he just still like, this is like a gnat? Like he says later, a guy the size of Rome has never ever. And I'm like, that's also like reality TV though.
And I feel like they showed, the editors did a fantastic job of showing Saul's like emotional roller coaster, where I feel like in the beginning he is this calm, just smooth presence, and I'm literally watching him be like you gotta hold it in, and it's crazy because I remember that, you know what I mean, where you're just like, how is a human able to be so nasty to another human? And yeah, I totally get it. But I feel like Saul is way more composed. And that's the thing that people don't talk about enough on Survivor. You go into Survivor thinking, I need to figure out these idols. I need to figure out how to do well in the challenges, how to be strategic, how to be smart. It is something that is underestimated how frustrating it is to be with a human being who just has literally so little self-awareness or even just regard for like others and how they're feeling, and you can't escape it. That's the thing. We all know annoying and frustrating humans and human situations. That's just a part of life. But usually you can walk away. You can't walk away in Survivor.
He did an excellent job. Let's pop over to Gata before we get further into Lavo. So I'm loving Andy. Our bisexual chaos king is killing it.
The hair flowing.
Oh, I got a asymmetrical today in the name of Andy.
Okay. Andy is awesome. I'm loving Andy more and more.
Yes. Sam's personality is also coming out. He's rapping. That rap went too long. I'm sorry.
It went too long and it wasn't as great as they reacted to it. But I like that. I like everybody on Gata Tribe.
Yeah.
Every single one of them I really like. And I think they all bring something different. I've been saying that I think my winner pick is from Gata. I feel like it's Rachel or Annika.
Okay.
It's got to be one of these girls. I like that Gata has these like powerhouse women who are really, really smart. And then the guys that are left are like like Andy's lovable,
Yes.
right? He's made some mistakes, but he's lovable and he's still on it. It's not like Andy's like not tapped in.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam's just super strategic, but not in a way that's like, okay, don't be a jerk. Like Sam's like doing it in a way that I feel like it's just logical, strategic. He's keeping Sierra close. I like that. He's smart enough to make sure the women don't feel alienated, but he still has his people. He's still nurturing that relationship with Andy. I really like this tribe. I feel like all of them are doing very well.
I don't think Sam's doing as well. Just because, here's my thing. I think he got a little teeny bit of the Dodo edit. First of all, the last episode, I feel like the hunger's hitting Sam harder as a big dude.
Okay.
And that also pops up with the whole chicken situation. I was like, it's going to be a problem.
Girl, I was upset about the chicken situation too. I was on Sam's side. Like, since a survivor, this is not the time to love and care.
Katurah, you're literally the last Sia winner. Okay.
Okay, well, hold on now. Hold on. I can love and care about the animals and still you acknowledge their value as protein.
That's not it. I'm just saying the irony is that Sia got inspired by the chicken. And the irony of the chicken's back after she's like closed.
Also, is this our first chicken's back?
I think it has to be. It's been a minute.
I was thinking that too. I was like, I don't remember us having chickens in a very long time in the new era.
Very long time.
So I like that they had it. It was kind of a little, I mean, I'll just be honest. It was annoying to me that we got chickens again. And now we have the quintessential person saying, oh no, I can't do it. Like, girl. If you want to rub and love on chickens.
And these chickens are flying out.
And they're small too.
I'm so upset when it flew out. I was like, then why did you even give them this? Like, now I'm like, please get some fronds. Maybe this is when we start tying some things together and make it more secure, because why is that chicken able to hop out like that?
Exactly. I genuinely think that those chickens are smaller than the usual survivor chickens. They looked really tiny to me. And the fact that it was able to hop through, I'm like, that is the same little basket that Survivor always uses for those chickens. We always see those chickens in that little basket and they never get to escape. I think these are just particularly smaller, which is even more of a reason, Sierra, that we got to eat them.
Oh, I just thought you have to feed those chickens. Like,
if we have 3, like we can feed the other 2 and get them fat.
Yeah.
Or maybe even feed all 3 and then wait a day or 2. But like somebody's got to get eaten soon.
Yeah.
Who will be our egg producing? We don't need 3 chickens for eggs.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of like are the chickens really a reward or not? If I have to go chase them around all the time, if I have to feed them, like I'm spending time. I'm just thinking about it now of like, maybe there's a reason. Like, it sounds good until you're starting to watch the chicken situation play out.
And then, honestly, I've never encountered this, but I'm thinking about once you boil it, plucking the feathers.
Yeah.
Because I grew up killing chickens and literally taking them from alive to canned in the jar. And one of the most annoying parts is the feathers. So I'm like, God, that feels like a lot of work to be doing on Survivor.
There you go. There you go. What a life. What a life, Katurah.
You know, when religions tell you it's the end of the world and you got to can all your food and
Canned chicken, though, just sounds terrible. Like,
well,
good.
If you can it yourself, you know, the pressure cooker when you can stuff like mason jars. That's the kind of canning I'm talking about.
Yeah. I figured.
Oh,
All right. So the other dynamics that is going on Gada is that, so let's talk about Sam's game. He's like, oh, you know, everyone's still like, Andy is just pretty and not with it, and that he loses his shot in the dark underneath the shelter. Sierra and Rachel are like, that has to be Andy's because his bag is always open.
Yep.
Sam's feeling good about himself because he can run back. He's like, oh, they got your shot in the dark is under the shelter, but you know, just be slick. Why? Like, I guess he's like, to hide that I helped you, but the girls weren't like trying to steal his shot in the dark.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like, I don't think he really needs to be all slick. And even they showed Andy like laying on the bamboo, like trying to pretend he's sleeping. I'm like, you don't need to do that when the whole tribe knows it's your shot in the dark. And, like, picking up your own shot in the dark isn't a major thing. It's like, okay, you got your own shot in the dark.
But guess what? He made it into the episode.
I mean, I guess. I was like, wow.
I know, but this is where I'm talking about Sam. I'm like, Sam, where are we at mentally and strategically?
I thought that was they were trying to make Andy have a little bit of a dodo edit with that shot in the dark, because it felt like Sam was kind of the advisor to Andy. Like, he's going to him saying like, hey, this is what you need to do, just so you know everybody found it, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that the way I'm reading Sam is he's been very intentional about pulling in and nurturing Andy. And I like that, because I think that's one of the best moves. Sam knows it's 3 girls and they're very close. And so him pulling in Sierra and pulling in Andy gives him extra safety in case Sierra goes with the girls, which, as he's hearing about this breadwinner alliance, if I'm Sam, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? You know what I mean? Like, this is my worst fear come to light. And so doubling down on keeping Andy, the fact that Andy would even get the information from Sierra and go back to Sam.
And that's where I'm like, Sam, are you the advisor, or are you low-key being outplayed by Andy? Because Andy's getting the information from Sierra. He runs it back to Sam. Sam's like, I'm immediately going to like confront Sierra about this. I don't think he should have. I think he should have kept this information a little bit more in his back pocket. See if Sierra will say, because here's the thing, he wants Andy around, right? Because he's thinking, oh, I can manipulate him. Also, I think Andy sees he can manipulate this strong duo, because he's like, how do you feel about like everyone else thinking you guys are a couple? I was like,
and that's why I like Andy too, because he's like not as checked out as I feel like episodes 1 and 2 kind of made it seem like he was, with the coconut thing and him pulling Rachel and crying about all that. Like, I feel like they were kind of giving Andy the dodo edit, and he's being like, no, I'm actually tapped into this game.
Yes,
it is in Andy's best interest to be pulling in Sierra and Sam, and also making sure there's a little bit division between them.
Exactly.
And that they both feel comfortable with him. So I like what Andy's doing, but I definitely don't think
I think he's manipulating Sam more than the other way around. Because this is the thing. When Sierra is like, now I don't want Andy because I don't trust him that he's telling you this breadwinner thing, making me look bad. And Sam, what does he say? No, we are keeping Andy because he's my boy. Now, Sam could have made it Sierra feel more comfortable by not ever confronting her.
Yeah.
That's where I'm thinking Andy's playing just a step ahead of Sam, and Sam doesn't even know it.
I can see that. I do think if I were Sam, I would have maybe kept the breadwinner information to my chest, like held it a little bit longer just to see if Sierra would ever say anything to me. So I do like that. But I also thought him confronting her about it would still fine if he didn't let it get to where they're having a full-blown argument. Because the last thing we want is Sierra to be like, well, you don't trust me and you think that I'm actually not with you. I will go with these girls, breadwinner or whatever. And the 3 of us will knock out Andy, you're number 1, and then you'll be next. And so I do think he could have played it a little cooler than that. They kind of left us hanging on that part, right? Like, they kind of showed them arguing and then was like, boom, challenge.
Yes. Yes, that's true. By the way, the breadwinners are all of the women on Gata. Sierra, Annika, and Rachel. They're just like, we should work together, you know.
I kind of thought it was 2 things about the breadwinners. I thought it was really silly for Sierra to tell that to Andy.
I know.
Because if I'm Sierra, I view Andy as an extension of Sam. And I don't think she would have ever just straight out told Sam, oh, yeah, well, the girls are really close. They're sharing stuff to me. I liked when she was telling Andy there's a 2, like Annika and Rachel are closer to each other than me, so that it gives more of an understanding of why she's leaning more towards the guys. So I like that. But I was like, why would she tell Andy this? Like,
I think Andy's the teenie of Gata, right?
Like, that's a great call. I think you're right. I think Andy and Teenie are the same energetically.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just love them and trust them, and you end up saying stuff to them that you didn't even plan to say.
And Sam's sitting there acting very protective of Andy now. Like,
right.
Yeah. So
I think
think
Andy's gonna go far. And I feel like Andy's gonna go far the same way Teeny's gonna go far. I give Teeny a little bit more like social props. Like I feel like people just are pulled toward Teeny, like want to keep Teeny. But I feel like for Andy, he's just done a really good job of putting himself in a situation where it's like, what would be the reason to vote out Andy? He's gonna have people fiercely trying to protect him if anybody tries to vote him out.
Yes. And the last note I have, Andy also goes on a trip later, which is like, I'm confused on how these tribes are selecting who goes, because why? If after everything Andy started with, would you select him? And guess what happens when Andy gets back? Who's there on the beach literally jumping and screaming his name? Not Sierra, but Sam.
Oh, really?
Sam is 100% bought in on Andy, and I love it.
He's in love. Yeah, he's connected. He's committed.
He's his only boy. We're going far. Like,
yep. Yeah. And I, you know what? One more thing towards the Andy. Maybe Andy's more strategic than the edit is giving him credit for. I really liked when he was offering to give Sierra his shot in the dark too.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, okay. And I mean, as we see, Andy will lose it. Like, he doesn't really, he's probably not holding on to it as much, but I still really.
But now does he even need it? Like, he is such a good little squirmy.
Remember when he skipped on picking up the idol, but it was like everybody else knows about it. But the irony is, it's probably going to be used to protect Andy.
I hope so. I hope so.
Like, it's not going to be used on anybody. It's not going to be used against Andy, I don't think, in any situation.
I hope not. Over on the Taku tribe,
our blue tribe are so harsh, Nicole.
I know they are.
These X's over their faces just look so sad. Same in your face. It's just like big X. Like,
so on Taku tribe, Sue's crying. I love Sue so much.
I love Sue too. Maybe that's what it is. There's a lovable character on every tribe.
Yeah, I think most of these people are lovable though.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sue's crying. She's like, I think I'm just so emotional that I'm so tired that I'm emotional. Relatable, girl. Relatable.
Definitely.
Now, she's talking to Gabe and Kyle. Gabe is like, yes, Sue is my chosen one. I want an older woman that I can drag along, whatever he thinks. And Kyle just keeps being like, oh, you're so tired? Yeah, my grandma. Sue was like, grandma, what?
Yeah.
She said that she was 45.
I love that.
50
loved it. Because when she said, I've been saying I'm 45, and I was like, well, how old is she really? And then she was like, but I'm actually 58. I was like, damn! Like, it does change your perception tremendously from 45 to 58. And knowing that she's 58 and killing it like that, like, yeah, I'm a Zeus fan.
But I feel like it's kind of obvious. Like, I wonder if they bought that. I was like 50. I mean, in 40.
Well, see, I don't really know what a 58-year-old woman looks like. Oh, wait, I guess 40s are not too far from us.
It's literally not. Like, I'm like, how are they buying? I hope they did not buy that. I would be very worried about them and be like, you have to expand
did they say anybody wasn't? It does seem like they kind of all are.
They just kept moving. They just kept moving on. But then again, it's men.
I feel like, especially with these guys.
Yeah.
And who's around a 50-year-old woman?
I don't know. I hope you have some peeps. Like, we need intergenerational mixing.
We do. Even I'm like, I don't know that I could see a 58-year-old woman and be able to properly identify her age. Like, what's a 58-year-old woman look like?
Maybe it's because I'm biased that I knew her age. But then again, I just watched this with Jordan. Jordan was like, she said what? I'm just like, exactly. I'd be like, Sue. Anyway, so she really.
I just support people lying about their age. I mean,
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
I gave myself 7 years off. I told everybody I was 7 years younger than I actually was. And I was like, there's a worry. Like 7 years is a big gap.
Yeah.
But, it's almost like if you say it, people's default is to believe it.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm
still lying about my age now since Survivor because I feel like saying that made my mind act a little bit younger, and not in a negative way, but in a more positive way. Like these days, I'm like, oh, I'm 36. My bones hurt. Like I want some hot tea. Don't talk to me. I want to be in bed by 8 o'clock. But when I'm on the island, I'm like, I'm in my 20s. Then I'm like, ooh, yeah, let's go out. Let's do it. Yeah. So I feel like it could be positive for Sue too, like personally.
Oh, truly. Like mentally. Now she's such a strong woman. Like I love that she'll bring up being a pilot at any moment.
Herself a badass.
Exactly. And she was playing up, I think, the whole I'm so tired, because she's looking for an idol and she finds it. These producers are messy because they were like, you're gonna have to cut this machete and your idol's in there, and it's all this. Like Survivor is so dedicated to blood theatrics.
I know.
Since when? This is almost the color of the paint that fell out of that thing, and this is a pink color.
This is why I feel like if I go to Survivor again, I am constantly disadvantaged because I can't see colors. And you literally it's like, oh my goodness. When Sue cleaned up and was like, okay, I've done this, I've washed off, I was like, looks pretty good to me. I don't see any red. And then Tiana's like, why is there blood on you? Where's this red? And I was like, oh, damn. And then the little vine to see in the, I'm like, I'm gonna miss that. Like,
yeah. I guess in that situation, your best bet is leaving it and maybe blaming someone else. Start putting like paint on someone else's stuff. I don't know, because like she doesn't have a mirror, so she can't see herself. She's just trying to go for it. I don't think she went to the ocean because the girls were also like, Tiana and Caroline basically stumbles on Sue at the well. That's who's talking to her and notices, and they're like, well, we're gonna be by the beach, hope you're good. And Sue dropped so many lies so quickly. First she was just like, oh, I was just messing around. Oh, here with the machete. Tiana's like, are you okay?
Yeah
You can't be like, oh yeah, I had the machete, and you're like having blood in your hair.
Yeah,
we're just
and then
gonna be like,
oh, I think I cut myself. And then she's like, oh, I don't know why I cut myself. That was the only thing I didn't like. I was like, her being an older woman, this is the perfect time to bring up, I got dizzy, I got lightheaded, I cut myself a little bit with the machete. I was just thinking she could say to the girls, but please, I don't want the guys to know because I don't want them to think I'm weak. You know what I mean? Like, it gives the girls a little bit of a like, okay, Sue could be a little wobbly. Sometimes we're not needing to worry about Sue. And it's like, yeah, and you confided in me. Like, I know that I have your confidence. I was like, I think she could have done it. I really was remembering. Do you remember when Karishma was like saying like, oh, I feel so sick and I'm lightheaded, I almost passed out, to the point where everybody was like, Karishma, you need to call medical, like we're worried about you. And it turned out she just was hiding the idol. I was like, Sue, do that. Like she could literally be the I'm a little tired older woman. She had the machete right beside her, and there's blood. I was a little disappointed in the way that she didn't use her identity to kind of seal that lie, because Tiana and Caroline walked away now doubting her, and that's like the last thing you want.
Yeah, that's true. But this is a good move for Tiana. I mean, as someone who's also rooting for her, it's just like, because they were doubting she would even be with the women, because she was starting out with TK and Kyle, then she betrayed them, and now it looks like she's getting on pretty well with Caroline. I think my girl can blend back into the middle.
I'm scared that So I'm a Tiana truther as well, and that's the problem with the season. Is too many great people. I want to root for so many people, but I will say I'm getting a little nervous about Tiana only because, you know, presumably she's in with the women now, which is, I think, her safest space to be. But I do feel like Gabe did a better job of pulling in Sue and Carolyn.
Yes.
And so I almost feel like Tiana's like number 4 of the Gabe, Sue, Carolyn, Tiana situation. And that does make me a little nervous unless Gabe does something to like fuck it up. You know, if Gabe is like,
I think
he's a little loose with the, I always wanted an old lady to drag around. I always wanted some simple
exactly
to follow me. He's a little loose with that, which is alarming because Sue is not the kind of woman who's going to take kindly to that energy. The way she was pissed at Kyle and the way she knows she's a badass and she knows they underestimate her, I think that could be Gabe's undoing. But if he keeps that to himself long enough, I do think Tiana would then be the odd one out there.
Well, we'll see. I feel like I'm putting my bet that Gabe messes up before that, though. Like,
really?
I think he's just very confident. Like he got kicked out. We have to remember because Gabe was first in with Kyle and TK. Then he got replaced.
Oh, like true with Tiana.
So I think like he's already proven he can be replaceable. And Tiana has proved she can wiggle into a new space. So I'm going to bet on the person who can do that.
I was kind of thinking that he got out with the guys because him and TK's egos couldn't work together. And like he's more comfortable in a space where there aren't that big of egos, which is why I think, yeah, you're right, though. He's going to mess up because he doesn't know that Sue's ego. He doesn't know he's underestimating that. Ooh, okay. I'm down. I agree with this.
Yeah, we also had challenges. I'm not going to spend time on this, but we got these big blocks. They're throwing sandbags. We love a sandbag in Survivor. Yeah. And we end on the puzzle. Now, what in the world was this? First I was in it. I was really in it last night, and I was like, wow, Rome, like we're not gonna get anything on the board. Soul keeps being like, not it, Rome. Want to switch, Rome? Genevieve standing to the side, she just is like looking at these puzzles and handing it. And the second time I watched, I was like, are they purposely throwing it? Like,
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking they had to be throwing it.
But then he says in the confessional, yeah, it was really terrible. And Rome is so egotistical that I'm like, if he was throwing it, he would have said it. So he was really just that bad. That's
in the moment of the puzzle, I was thinking the same. I was like, there's no way, because what really made me think they were throwing it is Genevieve's complacency.
Yes.
It's like, I will let my tribe mate be in the position of, sure, let me give you the pieces. You say you can do it. 1 or 2, fine. It's Survivor. The puzzles are hard. Like, we're getting to like this freaking stack of puzzle pieces and none of them have worked and you haven't been able to fit anything in. Why are we not thinking about, let's change the system, let's change the method, like let Genevieve get over here, or let's Genevieve not just hand the puzzle pieces to Rome, come over here with me, and also 2 minds are better than 1.
I think this is Genevieve's game.
You think just in the backseat of Rome?
So I think we learn a lot about Genevieve.
I think this is Genevieve's episode, honestly.
It truly is. She was in the background for the first 2 because Rome is Rome. But I think this is the thing. I think she's really good at hiding behind Rome. She sees what's happening. She's not dumb. But it's like, why would I put more effort if the spotlight is on Rome and he's doing this badly? Yeah. Truly. Yeah. And there was a point in this episode where she was okay with letting go Rome. So it's just, I think she was like, this is actually very low stakes for me. And at the end, I don't think a lot of people were talking about Genevieve. Yeah. I mean, Kashan doesn't put out her name because she was also not trying that puzzle. He's just like, it's just a number. He thought she was expendable. So, Yeah, I think she was just okay with doing that. This was like, yeah. And so this is where Tuku gets their chickens, and then Gata gets the eggs. We also have a trip. So Teeny, Caroline, and
It was
Andy.
so infuriating to me.
Oh, why?
Because why the hell is the person who's going to tribal tonight the one who had to risk their vote? I mean, I know that Teeny, what the edit is given is Teeny's very sweet, Teeny's very kind, right? Like, you could get Teeny to say, you know what, guys, it's okay, I'll take it. Like, but I was like, no, because we could have had totally different results if Teeny had a vote, right?
True.
Then it's Teeny, Keyshawn, and Saul. And they can get out Rome if they want to. The only reason to not get out Rome is Genevieve.
Yeah.
And Rome's still a vote, though. Yeah.
Yes. He was going to steal somebody's vote to try and make this work.
Yeah.
But no, this was so wild.
I just was annoyed that the other people didn't decide to.
Caroline, what are you doing? What was Caroline's argument truly?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what are the other people? It was Andy and Caroline?
Yeah. Andy, I get. Andy's like, you guys saw me. I'm on the bottom. And he was like, you should talk to me at merch. It's so funny that he says at the bottom, but come talk to me at merch. I'll give you all the goss.
That though. I love that. I love that a lot.
I'll tell you where the cracks are in Gata. Don't you worry. It's like, you're so messy. And then Caroline, I mean, she's good. Whatever she did to make sure she didn't somehow lose that, she is good.
Yeah. And the only thing is I don't know if it was Caroline being really good or Teeny just being really sweet. You know what I mean? Because I was
I think also maybe this is both Teeny and Genevieve's superpower, but Teeny said, I trust my people. And in the end, obviously their people weren't always all on the up and up, but Teeny didn't go home.
Yeah, and Teeny wasn't even an option. Teeny was never even brought up.
And I think on some level they knew that.
Oh, for sure. Teeny knows that. But I do think it's going to suck for Teeny because now they are almost forced to get tighter and closer to this Rome Genevieve alliance. Because Saul's kind of by himself. You know what I mean? I feel like if Lavo goes to tribal again, it's Saul. You know,
I hope not. They need to do something different. But maybe, I don't know. But then again, we have an interesting teaser for the next episode because they're gonna probably have more options.
I was gonna say they might swap.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to 2.
Time. I mean, what are we on the 4th vote out? Yeah, I mean it's time.
Yeah.
Or if there's a swap pre-merge, needs to happen now.
Truly. So what happened is that Teeny lost their vote for that tribal while Caroline and Andy were good, but then they all get amulets. The amulets, I hate this. They do it a lot.
Better. I like this better than gets stronger and stronger each person you vote out, because then you're inevitably gonna be against these people.
Mm-hmm.
And Teeny still says let's not do anything funky with each other, but I think the fact that the amulets are basically an idol now, even with all 3 of them in the game, they just have to be on the same page about who to use it against or who to use it on. I like that better. You know, you tell me it's a little something and I got to get somebody out and then it becomes more powerful and then becomes more powerful. I'm trying to get everybody out because I want it to be its most powerful form. And now it kind of is, and people will naturally get out anyway. So I liked it better.
Okay. You know what? When you describe it, I think I just by default thought it was the same rules. Because I swear it's the voting and then the explanation of some of these advantages is where I don't know where my mind goes. But yes, that is better. And they did seem a little. I wrote that Andy smiles and lies that they'll agree on a vote. But if you're telling me that this is true, maybe he was being genuine when he was smiling.
I mean, I think that it's true up until a point, right? It's the only issue now with this sort of amulet is if I or any one of the three wants to use the idol on someone who any one of the three doesn't want to use it on. And like that's a very real possibility when you get to the merge. Who's to say the odds are that all three of them will be equally enjoying the concept of putting it on one particular person, and it's going to be a positive effect for all of them? It's like very unlikely, right? So we still get the opportunity of people stabbing and being like, okay, let's get you out because you also hold the amulet and you're holding me up. But I think it's less than if it's just like, what was the original power of it before? It's like it's a vote or it's an extra vote or something. Like it's like those little advantages until it's a full-blown idol. So
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. I hope it does promote. I mean, but then again, that would be so interesting if Teeny, Andy, and Caroline somehow work together. But like everyone around Teeny and Andy have been like kind of crumbling. So I'm like, can they work together? Will their powers cancel out if they team up? I don't know.
Yeah, it's scary. It's a little sad. It's a little nerve-wracking.
A little bit.
But ever since you said Andy is the Teeny of Andy's tribe, I was like, ooh, I can see Andy and Teeny working extremely well together at the merge.
Yeah.
I could see them like running together. Like we got each other. And, you know, maybe even Carolyn being the only one on the outs. But I feel like Carolyn's personality, at least what we're seeing so far, seems like that softness that would just blend in with that Andy and Teeny situation. Like it doesn't feel like there's going to be a hard clash between the three of them.
Yeah, I would hope not, unless like they're all tied to different people. But then I don't think Andy and Teeny, they've been battle tested. They're like, the first one hurts the most after that.
And Teeny's people are gone. So, you know, her or them getting to the merge is going to be, the problem is Teeny was telling me, oh, I use she, her pronouns, and then I also use they, them pronouns. Yeah. And so my brain literally keeps
you can switch
back and forth. But then I feel like now that didn't Teeny like come out and say something extra about it or something like that? So I just want to make sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But because that my brain is all over the place. But I want to say because Teeny has lost Asia, Teeny's lost Keyshawn now, right? I don't think Teeny's gonna make it to the merge and still have Saw. I don't think there's any world in that. Either Teeny goes or Saw goes, and I don't think Teeny's gonna go.
Okay.
So I'm like, you get to the merge, Teeny's gonna be less encumbered because it's gonna be like, oh, I who am I fighting for? Rome and Genevieve, you know, like I think they'll be willing to let them go. Andy is probably gonna be a harder thing. Andy's gonna be definitely connected to Sam, right? Like I feel like
if Sam's still there.
But no, I feel like when I think about the Gada tribe, my biggest fear, if they don't swap or anything and everything stays the same, if they go to tribal, I think it's going to be one of the girls. Because I think Sam's going to push for it being one of the girls. Andy's going to push for it being one of the girls. And Sierra's going to need to show Sam and Andy loyalty by making it one of the girls. And lost her vote.
Yeah.
That's my fear. That is my fear.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how this swap goes. But we have to go back to Lavo.
Okay, sorry. I know we're jumping around.
We're good. We're good. Right before this tribal. This was beautiful. Survivor reality TV is so wild. So first we have the plan. We are doing Rome. Like Genevieve's right with letting him go, and everyone feels bad for Saul, and Keyshawn's like, yeah, we can do this. And then Keyshawn got a little confident. He said, I'll go steer my own plan, and we need a decoy Genevieve because it's not my name.
But I wasn't mad at Keyshawn for that. I thought my worry with Keyshawn was when he said Rome to Genevieve. I was like, oh, wait, no. Genevieve is connected to Rome, number one. Like, that's a dangerous thing. But when he said it to her, she kind of wasn't giving the, oh, no, not my number one. She was giving like, okay, I'm on board. And so I was like, oh, well, Keyshawn is able to pick up enough that Genevieve isn't going to be so pro-Rome, which Genevieve really should be. But so I wasn't too bothered by that. And I thought saying Genevieve's name as the decoy was actually an okay thing for Keyshawn to do, because he said it to Rome, like in a collaborative way, where they were both like, well, we got to tell Saul something. What do we tell him? You know, and it was like, Keyshawn said it in a way of like, well, does Genevieve make the most sense? Because it would be the most believable, because we can talk about tribe strength. And so I did not think that was that terrible of a thing to do. Obviously, it was the thing that put Genevieve back into reality. But realistically, I'm like, if we are all in an alliance and we do want to mislead someone and we know we have to give them a name, personally, you're not going to catch me saying it, but I understand the like, well, what makes the most sense? What's going to be the most believable? We can't say Teeny. We can't say Rome to Saul. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense. Like, Saul knows Rome has the power. He has the extra still a vote. Like, this is the thing that makes the most sense. So I did not think that should have been his undoing.
I mean, I don't think the editors did either. When they did that whole montage of Keyshawn looking,
what was that?
He was the happiest he's ever been. He's just gay. Like, his little gay self was like, I'm gay.
What was that? He's just gay.
Because Genevieve is like, oh, you're a naughty boy. He's like, I am. Like,
I know. It's
eating
so
it up. And they were on it until she was like, the naughty boy said what?
Yeah.
Out. Cut.
Yeah.
Cut the cameras.
I thought Genevieve was going to come to her senses when, remember when Teeny came back from the journey and Keyshawn looks at Teeny and he's like, guess what me and Genevieve have been plotting? And, you know, then he says, Rome. And Teeny looks over at Genevieve, which would have been my first thought, like, oh, Rome, are we allowed to do Rome? Like, let's look at Genevieve, see how she's responding. And Genevieve says, Keyshawn just came up with this plan and told it to me. And I thought it was good. And when she said that, I was like, ooh, that's got a little tinge of like, I didn't make this plan. I didn't say it benefited me. I just heard you come to me with a plan for what you think is best. And now that's the plan we're doing. And that was the moment I was like, I don't like her saying it. Because if I'm Keyshawn in that moment, I'm telling her, no, we came up with this together. Like, we both agree. It makes sense because of A, B, and C. You know, just to reassure her that this isn't Keyshawn's plan. This is our plan. And so I was a little nervous when that happened.
Yes. I think Keyshawn just got a little excited and then he did not remember to do the follow through. He had the idea, he planted the seed, did not watch or water that seed well enough. So Genevieve gets to work. She's like, Keyshawn, we're doing Keyshawn. Rome literally says, I'm okay with threatening Saul by you.
Of course you are.
Yes.
You've been threatening Saul for free easily all day long. Like, of course you're fine to continue to do it.
Wild. He's like, you know, I'll just tell him, you can give me your shot in the dark or I can steal your vote. So he tells Saul this. Saul's just like, what is going on? And apparently the vote's not even on Saul anymore. He's like, what is really going on? Yeah. We are supposed to be getting out Keyshawn instead. And we're at tribal. Oh my God. So
can I say one thing? Before tribal, I thought it was kind of hilarious that literally just earlier, Rome is like taunting Saul and being really harsh and aggressive with him. And now him and Genevieve are like, well, we want Saul to vote Keyshawn. So you need to go and like
apologize.
Yeah. And then Rome's like, you know, I never meant to threaten you. And we're like, whatever, BS. But I was shocked that Saul ended up voting for Keyshawn. Like, I can't believe he actually did it, because I feel like the energy he was giving was, I feel so spiteful for the way Rome has been treating me. There's no way I'm changing my vote away from Rome.
At the end of the day, anyone's name but me.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, one of the things that we can say about Asia's downfall is that she never gets to that point of, okay, anyone's name but me.
Yeah.
Saul is just like, y'all wildin'.
I feel like Saul got there. Like, they didn't show it, but he had to get to a point where it's like, I mean, it literally was Keyshawn and Saul. Like,
yes. And like, I know mother is such a term that we're throwing around. Apparently Teeny told Genevieve about mother after that tribal of like, this is what you're gonna be called, this is what it means. But Genevieve literally turned into a mother when it came to those two men, because Rome goes over and apologizes. She's sitting down next to Saul as he's apologizing to him. Rome immediately leaves, just like a kid would when the mother's like, you're going to go apologize to your sibling right now. And then it's going to be the end of it. And then Saul is still trying to talk negatively about Rome. And Genevieve's like, no, we're done. We're doing Keyshawn.
Yeah. I like that too. And honestly, it was the move that makes the most sense strategically for Genevieve. So I'm glad that she did it. It's a little weird that it took hearing that she was the decoy vote to snap that into shape. But I do love how she knew exactly what to do. I mean, literally, if you were thinking, okay, now how do I switch this to Rome or switch it to Keyshawn? The first thing you do, which is what she did, just go to Rome. You know, Rome is going to quickly be like, oh, for real? Keyshawn said what? Down. Easy. I'm done with, like, you know what I mean? Rome will do it because he's going to have his feelings hurt. Like, I've been protecting you and I've been protecting the alliance. And you said what, Keyshawn? So now Rome's on board. And now you just need Rome to apologize to Saul. Saul will be logical. He'll say, if it's me or Keyshawn, I'm going to write Keyshawn. And honestly, it was way simpler than I feel like they kind of dragged out and made it seem like it was really complicated. But if Rome has to steal a vote, you just steal Keyshawn's vote. With Teeny not having a vote, Keyshawn not having a vote, really, they could have made this work even without Saul writing Keyshawn. So it's like, okay.
Wild. Yeah. So in the end, Keyshawn leaves. He still looks so happy, but he's like, I'm getting really nervous. Like, this doesn't feel good.
I liked him a lot. He was so cute. And did you hear the before where, I think it was last episode, where he learned to swim 4 months before playing Survivor?
No.
That's exactly me.
Yeah.
Literally, I was like, oh my God, how cute. I love that level of like dedication. I love that he had his moment where they were able to show like how sneaky he was, because literally that plan almost worked.
Yeah, it did.
And what it would have done is put Teeny, Keyshawn, and Saul in the power position. Rome's gone, and Genevieve can sit there and be like, hey, and they can get her name. Yeah. So it was a really great plan, Keyshawn.
It was.
What happened?
I know he was talking it out with Asia.
Like, where he got the pun, and Asia was like,
I almost had him, though. I almost had him.
She's like, I told you I should have got Rome out when I was there.
All right, our chaotic bi moment of this episode. Okay, so I'm picking my chaotic bisexual moment is going to be literally Andy.
I knew you were gonna say Andy.
Andy being like, are you still upset about like everyone saying you guys are a couple? I think that was a good one. There's so many good ones.
I'll say then I'm not going to use bi in the sense of bisexual, but like by the way you've described it and floating between the two, then I would give it to Keyshawn.
Okay.
Because I love that Keyshawn has been perfectly floating between the two. Rome really believed that Keyshawn was with them. Yeah. And yet Keyshawn was like, you know what? We don't need to have an easy Saul vote. Let's get Rome. And I really like that because I feel like it almost worked. It was so close. And then him just crossing his little legs and being like, I know how to like strategically manipulate all of these and get what I want. I was like, yeah, do it. And it just almost worked. I think his only flaw is just don't be the one to say the name. Leave it up to the strong allies to say their own ally's name, because Rome would have never told that to Genevieve in that way if he couldn't say, yeah, it was Keyshawn that threw out your name. You know what I mean? I mean, Rome did, to his credit, they kind of clean it up and be like, oh, but there was no malice. It was just like what's most believable, but still, like, yeah.
Beautiful black moment. I think my beautiful black moment is literally going to be Rome apologizing to Sol.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, so I guess my beautiful black moment is limited.
It could be your joy as well.
Oh, my personal joy?
Watching the episode was
that's a good one. Ooh, okay. What gave me the most joy? Teeny. Teeny gives me joy for being so genuine. Oh, here's what it is. Teeny genuinely feeling bad that Asia went home.
That's a good one.
And maybe this is slipping a little bit into last week's episode, but feeling so bad that they literally refused to write Asia's name down. That's my beautiful black moment. And it being genuine, you know what I mean? And really meaning it. I love that. I love when people are genuine and like kind and care. And it's like, yes, we're playing Survivor, and yes, it's for $1 million. Well, you don't have to be assholes. Like, we really could just be good humans. And like, if not while you're starving on an island and everybody's competing against each other, what other time do you need kindness the most? You know?
Truly.
So, I'm a flag Teeny's kindness.
Nice. That is the episode. Katurah, where can people follow you?
Whoop, whoop, whoop. So I'm Haute Couture on Instagram, and then Katurah Tops and every other platform. Follow me on everywhere. I have some cool, exciting things as usual. I'm just always doing a bunch of stuff, a million things at once. So I'm really excited. It is, I don't know when this episode will drop, but while we're recording it,
Saturday.
It is officially World Mental Health Day. And so, take care of your mental health, people. It is always an ongoing journey for me. I am always working towards it, and it's never a clear, straight line, and it doesn't have to be. So I guess I'll just leave people with that.
Same. I'm your host, Nicole Weaver, guys. Please subscribe to the channel for future Survivor recaps and interviews. I did talk to Asia last week if you wanted to check that out. And the recap I did with Sabaya last week as well. We're wrapping up Big Brother 26, so stay tuned. I did pre-jury interviews. We'll see if we get any postseason interviews. And we are talking about Love is Blind Season 7. Messy.
So much to say about Season 7, Love is Blind. I cannot wait, Nicole. I am so excited.
I know. So we're talking about episodes 7 and 9 with Sabaya this week, and we'll have Katurah later.
Yay! Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's it, you guys. I hope you feel visible. Stay visible today.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thanks.